If you've ever been to a military parade, heard the sound of a fighter jet roaring through the skies, or just Googled the absolute size of an aircraft carrier, then you've seen what the military can do when they have billions of dollars on their hands. If you didn't already know, military equipment isn't cheap. And the flashier and bigger it is, the bigger the price tag tends to be. In 2020 alone, the world spent almost $2 trillion on snazzy new uniforms. The military spends billions of dollars researching, developing, and manufacturing the latest and most powerful weapons for warfare. And today, we're going to find out which of these weapons is the most expensive one ever built. Number 6. B-61 nuclear missile. $28 million per unit. Funny how the cheapest one on this list is quite literally an intercontinental ballistic missile, isn't it? Well, stick around, because it turns out nukes are a lot less expensive than you might have thought. That is, if we're talking per unit, though. The sheer amount of money put into the development and upgrades to these nuclear missiles, though, now that's staggering. The B-61 nuclear bomb is by no means a new piece of military hardware. It's the primary thermonuclear gravity bomb the United States has stockpiled for a few decades now. It took quite a lot of money to conduct research into making these bombs, and costs about $28 million per unit to make them. And so far, the B-61s have done a lot of sitting around doing nothing, and costing money while they do it. And I mean a lot of money too. Back in 2016, it cost the US government a whopping $10 billion just to refurbish their stockpile of B-61s. So what exactly are these nukes anyway? Well, they're what experts call low to medium yield strategic and tactical nuclear weapons, designed with a yield of 0.3 to 340 kilotons. Basically, the B-61s aren't designed to indiscriminately level an entire city. The bomb is specially designed with a streamlined casing capable of withstanding supersonic flight speeds. It's 11 feet long and about 13 inches wide, and weighs over 700 pounds. Damn, it already sounds dangerous enough before I even tell you it's packing a nuclear warhead. The B-61 has been deployed by a variety of US military aircraft. It can even fit inside the weapon bays of an F-22 Raptor, which, by the way, is an amazing aircraft we shall be getting into later. There have been about 3,155 of these bad boys produced over the decades. Approximately 540 remain in active service, 415 in inactive service, and 520 are awaiting dismantlement as of 2012. Now, I don't know about you, but I like my nukes inside the silos. Number 5. Trident missile. $30 million per unit. You could call it the Trident II D5 missile, if you want to be technical about it. Now, this thing is no ordinary nuclear missile. It is a 3-stage, solid-fueled, submarine-launched intercontinental-range ballistic missile. It can fly about 4,000 nautical miles to its target, and is capable of carrying the highest-yield ballistic missile warhead the U.S. has in its arsenal. The Trident is deployed in Ohio-class and Vanguard-class nuclear submarines. Let's just say you don't want one of these parked in your backyard. The latest iteration of the Trident missile weighs about 130,000 pounds, and somehow manages to travel at 20,000 feet per second. You can thank half a century of hard work for this advancement in ballistic missilery. Work on the Trident missile dates all the way back to 1971. Add a few decades, some brilliant scientific minds, and truckloads of money, and the project was a resounding success, costing about $39 billion. This is, without a doubt, one of the most sophisticated missiles in the US Navy's arsenal. And trust me, they've had lots of practice with nuclear missiles before they got to this one. The Trident II D5 was first fired in the 1990s. Back then, it was just an upgraded version of the 1970s-era Trident I nuclear weapon. Over the decades, the Trident IIs have been iterated upon over and over again. They've created a more refined, more powerful weapon than they probably ever dreamed of. The Trident IIs were initially engineered to serve until 2027, but they clearly struck gold and simply won't let this missile die. Thanks to the ongoing series of upgrades to this thing, they intend for it to serve for another 25 years, with further plans of using the Trident II as the weapon base for the class of submarines slated to replace the US's Ohio-class nuclear submarines, a project slated to last till 2080. If you thought the $39 billion spent on the Trident project was a lot, come back in 60 years. Number 4. F-35A stealth fighter. $80 million per unit. Next up, we have what might not be the most expensive piece of military hardware or even the most expensive plane on this list, but is probably the most devastatingly efficient multi-role aircraft out there. Brought in to help replace the last generation of aging fighters, the F-35A is here to bring that enhanced survivability that 21st century warfare demands, with 9 countries all agreeing and joining forces with the United States in the development of these aircraft. United States, United Kingdom, Italy, Netherlands, Turkey, Canada, Denmark, Norway, and Australia, to be exact. To put it simply, the F-35A is an agile, versatile, high-performance multi-role fighter that combines stealth, sensor fusion, and incredible situational awareness, coupled with some seriously advanced aerodynamic performance and integrated avionics to create a plane worthy of the tag stealth fighter and worthy of that hefty price tag. The F-35A doesn't just fly fast and look flashy, it's truly multifaceted in its abilities. Not only does it come with an advanced sensor package designed to gather and distribute more information than any fighter ever made, its processing power, information fusion, and flexible communication links make it an indispensable tool in homeland defense and coordinated warfare. Because the Air Force wouldn't like their $80 million planes shot out of the sky willy-nilly, the F-35A's electronic sensors include systems that provide pilots with situational awareness in a sphere around the aircraft. This means enhanced warning for missiles, aircraft, plus day and night vision. No joke, the F-35A's helmet-mounted display system is simply the most advanced system of its kind. All the intelligence and targeting information a pilot needs to complete their mission is displayed on the helmet's visor. Put this plane in the right hands, and you won't even need to worry about a new paint job when it comes back to the hangar. Number 3. F-22 Raptor, $211 million per unit. If you hadn't guessed by now, fighter aircraft are anything but cheap, and the F-22 Raptor is no different. And for such a massive price tag, it's got a lot to live up to. The F-22 is the Air Force's newest fighter aircraft. Its combination of stealth, supercruise, maneuverability, and integrated avionics provides a massive leap in warfare capabilities. This aircraft can perform both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. It's designed to project air dominance, rapidly and at great distances. The F-22 simply cannot be matched by any known or projected fighter aircraft. It features a combination of sensor capabilities and amazing situational awareness for its pilot, on top of its weapons providing first strike opportunity against threats. I honestly doubt you'll feel safer flying a 43,000-pound war machine thousands of feet in the air. And I'm not exaggerating. The F-22 possesses a sophisticated sensor suite that allows the pilot to track, identify, shoot, and disable air-to-air threats before being detected. This bad boy brings stealth into the daylight, enabling it to not only protect itself, but other assets as well. On top of its clear air dominance, the F-22 is quite the all-rounder as well, thanks to advances in low observable technologies, providing it significantly improved survivability and lethality against surface-to-air threats as well. Its engines produce more thrust than any current fighter engine. The combination of sleek aerodynamic design and increased thrust allows the F-22 to cruise at supersonic airspeeds without using afterburner. They call this supercruise, and it just sounds super cool. This also places the F-22 in a league of its own. Not only does supercruise greatly expand its operating envelope in both speed and range over current fighters, it saves on fuel by not needing an afterburner to operate at supersonic speeds. To put it short, the F-22 has better reliability and maintainability than any fighter aircraft in history. This probably does justify that price tag, but oh boy, it gets way more expensive from here. Number 2. DDG-51 Destroyer, $1.8 billion per unit. Also known as the Arleigh Burke-class destroyer, this incredibly expensive piece of military hardware has been in service since 1991. Each warship is more than 500 feet stern to stern and can weigh up to 9,200 tons, carrying a crew of about 350 servicemen. Just because it's been around since the 90s doesn't mean that R&D money has been going nowhere. The latest fleet of DDG-51s are high-tech, newly engineered guided missile destroyers, capable of accommodating emerging weapons such as lasers and railguns, plus incredibly advanced radars, capable of detecting attacking anti-cruise ship missiles from incredible distances. Thanks to these technological advances, the capabilities of modern destroyers have been improved substantially. These guided missile destroyers are multi-mission anti-air, anti-submarine, and anti-surface combatants. The DDG-51s have effectively outclassed older models, like Charles F. Adams and Farragut-class guided missile destroyers. It can provide offensive and defensive capabilities, operate independently or as part of a carrier strike group, surface action group, or as support in an underway replenishment group. You name it. The DDG-51's combat capability centers around the Aegis weapon system, an incredibly expensive integrated naval weapons system worth about $2 billion. It uses powerful computer and radar technology to track and guide weapons to take out enemy targets. It's also equipped with a bunch of other weapons as well. It is called a destroyer after all. There are 2 vertical launching systems for Tomahawk missiles, a .62 caliber naval gun, torpedoes, and an advanced mine detection system. Not all DDG-51s are the same though. Some come with additional mine avoidance capability and a pair of helicopter hangars, while others come with remote mine hunting systems. But if there's one thing we can all agree on, it's that they cost a lot of money, but not as much as number 1 on our list. Number 1. USS Gerald Ford. $13 billion per unit. At the top of our list, we have what is considered the most advanced aircraft carrier in the entire world. And honestly, for a price tag that insane, who on earth is surprised? The USS Gerald Ford was the first U.S. carrier to be designed using advanced computerized techniques, like 3D modeling a full-scale model in what they call a rapid operational virtual reality system, and less advanced techniques like welding 4 million pounds of metal into a 90,000-ton warship. The Gerald R. Ford was launched back in 2013 from dry dock into Virginia's James River, where it would begin some rigorous trials, with the intent of it finally being commissioned in 2020. Kind of standard procedure when you're building a massive floating island. Just to blow your mind even further, the USS Gerald Ford might have a per-unit cost of $13 billion, but the entire development program of this 1,106 feet long, 250 feet high, massive seacraft cost about $37 billion. And they plan to make 10 of them. So what sort of upgrades does the USS Ford provide over previous carriers? Well, for one, it comes with nice quality of life upgrades for sailors, like quieter sleeping quarters, numerous recreation areas and gymnasiums, as well as better air conditioning. They will be calling this thing home for a while after all. The least you can do is make it comfortable. And because this is 21st century warfare we're talking about, the Ford comes equipped with augmented reality as well. This allows the crew to have increased insight into the ship's systems, improving all-around efficiency. Of course, there are less futuristic add-ons, like the USS Ford's 50 caliber machine guns and the Sea Sparrow missile system launcher. Sometimes you just rely on what works. So what was the most surprising part of this list? Any piece of military hardware you're surprised didn't make the cut? If you enjoyed this video, you should absolutely click on a video on the screen. It's pretty good too. See you there.